and welcome to Morning Motivations with Dan Stratton. I'm at home today. It's an exciting day. I missed my grandson. I haven't seen him in about 10 or 11 days, which is a lot for me. I usually see him. I've been traveling a little bit. And so I'm home now, home with my wife, and it's exciting to be home. And this morning as I come to you, I'm thinking about Independence Day, which is tomorrow. And that's when you're going to get this tape, so it'll be today. But I think about Independence Day, and I think about sometimes the difference between freedom and independence. And when I do that, I think about all the different things that come into our lives that affect us. And I have disciplines or tools that I use every day to keep myself moving in the right direction, moving in a positive direction. And I talk to you about those tools each and every week. And I strongly suggest that you develop some guidelines, some tools that you understand, and I'm happy to help you to develop those. But it really helps you to do an inventory, and it helps you to make sure that when you're moving things forward, you're moving your whole life forward. You're moving the people you love forward. You're moving your health forward along with your finances. You're moving your learning forward along with your relationships. You're moving your quiet time or your spiritual life forward along with your emotions. Because a lot of times we get moving forward and we don't really think about where we're at in certain areas of our lives, and then adversity comes or some kind of stress comes our way, and then that stress hits us in a way that causes us to overreact. And that overreaction is oftentimes more expensive. As an old commodities trader, I learned, making hundreds of trades a day, sometimes even more than that, that if I made a mistake, that mistake was often less costly than the next move that I would make. If I made a mistake and I closed it out, and then I could get myself to a fresh place, even if I had to leave the trading pit for a few moments to get back to an objective, non-emotional place, I would have to do that. If the blood was up in my head because somebody had said something to me, or somebody had been unfair to me, or I had just been an idiot, been slow, or just made a bad mistake, something like that. But if the blood was up, if the emotion was up, if I wasn't aware of how I was making decisions, if I wasn't in a grounded, relaxed, I would call it an athletic position, balanced, then I would overreact and make a decision that would exacerbate the initial mistake. And so when I say this to you, and then I come back to the concept of freedom and independence, you have to understand that independence, in a lot of ways, you go back to the independence of America, right? Why did they write the Declaration of Independence? They wrote it because they were living under unfairness. They were living under the King of England, who was far away, making decisions for their lives that were unfair. And these people were not allowed to live their lives without control, without somebody else looking over their shoulder, and then all the work that they did in some capacity was being taken away from them in many different ways. And so they pushed against. So in the word independence, there's a little bit of rebellion. There's a little bit of pushing something away. Independent from what? Right? Now, freedom, on the other hand, is what I'm describing as that objective, peaceful place where you are free to make all your decisions, right? When I pay taxes, I rationalize it, right? I say to myself, well, I'm driving on roads, right? I sent my kid to school, all these different things, and there's police department. So, I should pay my fair share for all that stuff. Now, fair share comes back to, what is my fair share as opposed to what is everybody else's fair share? I don't really think about that much. I think about how grateful I am for the roads, how grateful I am for the airports, how grateful I am for the water supply, for the electricity supply, all these different things. And so I'm always willing to pay my fair share. But that's part of the freedom. I want you to think about that for a second. Nobody's making me do it. Nobody's making me do it. And honestly, when you think about it, we are dependent on that in a sense, and it would be rebellious of me to try to get my independence from the roads, right? I'm not driving on those roads. I'm gonna off-road for the rest of my life. I'm not going on those airplanes. I'm gonna walk from here to Minneapolis to see my mom. I mean, these are things that you got to watch out for on the inside of you, because that independence kind of a concept is something that puts in you a little bit of a chip on your shoulder. A lot of us like our chips on our shoulders, but those things we're carrying around a little extra stress. We're carrying around a little bit of extra toxicity. We're far freer than we think we are. And freedom is not independence. Freedom is the ability to sit in my mind and enjoy my thoughts, enjoy my memories, and choose my life, right? So I woke up this morning and I said to you first thing on this broadcast, I said, listen to me, I miss my grandson. I haven't seen him in 10 days, but I'm not mad at my daughter. She's been busy. She's a doctor. Her husband works hard. He's a CPA, consultant, kind of like an investment banker. And he works many, many hours, and I would rather he spend time with my grandson, Bennett, than I spend time with him. And that's my choice again, because I could rush over there. I could jam my way into their schedule and go see him. But no, I'm in my mind and I'm free. And instead of being at any point in my life, at any point in my thought life, and at any point in my day, I can get upset. For whatever reason, I can get upset because someone in one of my projects is slow to respond, or not doing what they're supposed to do, all these things. But no, I'm free. And when I go into and teach in the prisons of Mississippi, I remind these men, and I work almost 100% with men. Sometimes I work with women, but rarely. Even though I find that rewarding, because that's a different thing, and that stretches me. And again, that's my choice. I get to do that. And it's a very cool thing when you understand the difference between independence and freedom, because you can really help these people, because those people who are in prison, they're not going to get to, the rebellion isn't going to help them, but freedom is. Independence, they're not going to become independent of the system inside that place. I mean, everything is provided for them: the bed, the electricity, the shower, the food. But you and I both know that they're dependent and they're incarcerated, but they can get free. And this is what we work on when I work with them. We work on choosing their thoughts. We work on being free to choose how they feel about the person sitting next to them, how they feel about the guard down the hall who's clearly angry, or clearly robbing or stealing. He's corrupt. All these things do go on. Not all of them are, not that many of them are. But if you think they are, then now all of a sudden you're not free anymore. You're completely bound by a decision that you made, right? And so this is what we're dealing with in life, and I see it all the time everywhere I go. I see that lack of freedom, that rebellion that goes with independence. I got to be independent of that. I've got to be separate from that. And we sometimes can't differentiate between independence and freedom. And so it's important that you think about that. Now, for me, I'm actually grateful during the day and thankful on a regular basis for the things I'm dependent on, right? I'm dependent on my wife's love. I'm dependent on, God giving me the ability to think, to breathe, to move, to process. So that's part of the discipline of giving thanks, recognizing that you're not in this world by yourself. I mean, I'm dependent on so many things, and having this chip on my shoulder, having this feeling that I need to be independent to be free, is something that sometimes hinders us because, as I like to say, we're all called to do something great, but none of us can do it alone. I'm dependent on the input, like I said before, on my wife. I'm really dependent on her. I'm very dependent on God. I defer to him every day, almost, every minute, because I'm always thinking about, the fact that I'm accountable to him, that everything I have came from him. I'm always dependent on the fact that I know that since he's so good to me, like I was talking about the government and how we're so dependent on roads, our school system, airports, we're dependent on clean water, the fact that, the sewer system, all these different things. And it'd be silly of me to try to get independent of those things, right? We talked about that. It's the same way I feel about God. I feel more dependent on God than I do on those things even. And so just knowing that every time I open my eyes, I'm going to see. Just knowing that every time I go to encourage someone, that my words are going to come to my mind, that the right tone and intonation is going to come to my voice, right? And so I'm so thankful for that, but I'm also so dependent on that. And in that dependence, I'm really free, because it's powerful to know that I can do what I want to do, feel what I want to feel, think what I want to think, because I can. But the fact that I can is not independent. It's not because I rebelled against a system. Rather, it's because I'm thankful for the things I'm dependent on, for the things that have been given to me, the gifts that I have. When I feel like I've earned everything, when I've, gouged and fought for everything, then I'm dealing with, again, an anger possibly, maybe a bitterness possibly, maybe almost like a vengeful feeling. Like I've got people haven't been fair to me, life hasn't been fair to me. Then I have this negativity that really puts me in chains, that makes me unfree, that makes me really bound up in a way, even though I'm independent, right? You want to be free, and you want to be dependent on that which is dependable, on that which loves you, on that which will be there for you. It's very important that you think about these things from time to time, because we all have decisions to make today. I think about the people we love, Annie and I, and the people that come to us for counsel and come to us for support, come to us for advice, right? When they get into an adverse place, they are not free. They're trying to fight through their adversity. And it's really hard to make decisions angry. It's really hard to make decisions scared. It's hard to make decisions without information, without objectivity, because they're not free to really make a good decision, because they're dealing from pain. They're dealing from lack of information. And when they come to us, we're not in that pain. We're objective, right? We love them and we're there for them, and we can help them if they let us. It's still their life. But at the same time, I have to remind them, on a regular basis, you're making your decision from a position of independence, not freedom. You're just rebelling against good information. You're rebelling against all the support system that is here for you. You're rebelling against all these different things, and that's going to put you in a place where your reaction to your adversity is going to cause you to make a decision that's going to be 10 times worse than your adversity, than that first problem. And that's something that as a commodities trader for many, many years, I learned to really deal with. I never mastered it, right? I never mastered it, but I was always aware when I was about to double down and truly make a mistake that might cost me my career, a mistake that might cost me my reputation. And so it's something I want you to think about today and comment on. And I want to wish you the happiest Freedom Day. Think about that. I want you to be free. You know, we're going to celebrate our independence from England, but I want you to be free. You know, Scripture teaches us, and, you know, I'm a pastor, so I don't always try to be overly pastorly in these morning motivations, but I want you to know there's a great scripture in Galatians chapter 5 that says, if you can think on these things, love, joy, peace, long-suffering, compassion, generosity, faithfulness, humility, and self-control, and if you can keep your mind on those, there is no restrictions. You're truly free. So that's a very, very powerful thing to think about. Another place in Scripture is Philippians chapter 4, where it says, be anxious for nothing, but in all things by prayer and supplication, make your requests unto God. And whatsoever things are lovely, honest, pure, of a good report, whatsoever things have virtue or praise, think about those things. See, you get to choose. God is love, and love will never force himself on you. So you get to choose. And when you understand that you truly get to choose, you're not independent, you're free, dependent on the flow of life that is always there for you if you just choose it. So I just wanted to meditate on that this morning and think about that. I'll be teaching on that tonight, which will be last night when you listen to this, and you can get it in the archives. But I care about you, and I think about you, and I do these things every week, and I want to connect because I believe that, you know, a group of people are being put together, virtuous people, in this age of strife and division, a kind group of people, a compassionate group of people, and good people that are going to overcome evil with good. So have an awesome day, and I hope this blessed you this morning. And now I'm going to have coffee with my wife. Bye.